So I've been asked to present 5 impactful ways to share your work, to empower you to use technology to showcase how fantastic you are in your role. It's not always easy for people looking in to get a comprehensive insight into the detail of what you do. So we want to encourage you to provide that insight and educate others about the true value of you in your role. So today we are going to look at why share your work? Why is it worth your time and effort to share your work? What kind of things you can share? So what do I mean by sharing your work? And we'll offer 5 impactful technologies you can use to share your work. Of course, there are more than 5 ways, but we've chosen to focus on using tools that you're more likely to gain access to. We also do have an additional 3 bonus ways to talk about if we've got a wee bit of space, in case you're lucky enough to have access to those specific tools. At the end of the session, excuse me, a great time for my voice to disappear. I'll share a handout with you. It contains an introduction and guidance on how to create all the resources I mentioned today. My guides are geared towards using these resources for learning, but the principles are very much the same for presenting your work. Okay, so let's start with why share your work. So why is it worth your time? This this picture, these are the avatars of me and my line manager Gail, and this is a very authentic scenario. In the next scene, she'll have her head in her hands, so it is relevant to what I'm about to say. For individuals, most common time that we share our work is around appraisal and review times. We also share what we've done well, the course we completed, and so on. We also share our work at interviews, to show our skills. For groups and teams, the work shared is often about the results of a project, work that's been undertaken to meet business goals, and that type of thing. And it can be about those things. It can be about sharing those things. The big achievements are often obvious. People can see your work and they're much easier for you to talk about. But I'll bet we've all got so much more to share. And we've all got more things that we want to talk about. And I invite you to recognise that the little things you do, the things that you don't think are a big deal and that you do every day, are also worth sharing. So let me give you an example. The team I work within is the Technology Enhanced Learning team in NES. We've been in NES just short of 2 years. And a new colleague came to us for support not that long ago. And through our conversation, she found out that we've not been in existence for a long time. I've only been here for under 2 years. And her response was, what did people do before the team was here? That question alone is our biggest achievement. It shows how much we are valued because this person can't imagine NES without us. Yet when my line manager asks me, as in this visual here, what went well in the last 6 months, I'll shrug, say I did my job and I wasn't fired. That's a win. And you can literally hear this woman's eyes roll. My response isn't helpful to her, and actually, more importantly, it's not helpful to me either. Now, you may feel like your work is fairly standard stuff, nothing you would consider noteworthy. So why am I encouraging you to make it noteworthy, to share it? Well, to answer that, let's think about the benefits of sharing. Okay, so first up, it provides an insight into the impact of your everyday work. As I said, the support I provided that new colleague I was talking about wasn't a big deal to me, but it was to her. We need to be better at recognising that the day-to-day things we do have a huge impact on those we work and interact with. We need to stop trivialising the importance of our day-to-day work. And crucial to sharing your work is including the feedback you get from service users. There's nothing more authenticating than the feedback you get from the very people you're employed to support. For those of you that work with service users or patients, do you keep a track of the times they show you appreciation? A simple thank you, remembering your name, complimenting the way you did something for them? Most people don't, but actually we really should. I did a wee test with our team a few weeks ago. I got 4 of us that are full-time to count how many times people showed appreciation for our work. If someone had asked us to guess, we would have probably said a couple of times each, maybe 8, 10 10 times that week. Actually, on a relatively quiet week, 82 people showed appreciation for what we did for them. How is that not noteworthy? So have a think about that. Have a think about how many times do you dismiss the appreciation for what you do? Maybe we should be paying more attention. The second reason why it might be beneficial is it lets people learn more about your work. People will make assumptions about what you do. So put a little more effort into recognizing and sharing the smaller things, because when you do that, your audience will learn so much more about you and realize that there is so much more to you in your role. Next, showcasing examples of your work can role model and bring to life good practice. Case studies and storytelling lets others, for example, new colleagues, learn from your journey. So essential. And my very last one is the benefits of self-care. The person you share your work with could be yourself. That might sound a wee bit touchy-feely, but actually, the more I wrote about this part, the more I looked into this part, I thought, you know what, this is absolutely true. We can all experience a bit of imposter syndrome in our roles, and we can be quick to focus and feel bad about the mistakes we make. So taking a bit of time to record the things that have been a success or where there have been lessons learned can be beneficial for us to look back on in times when we're doubting ourselves. A couple of years ago, I wrote a letter to myself as part of a mindfulness course. They got us to write a letter to our future selves, and we were to open it when times were tough. I opened mine 2 years after I wrote it, and I was really surprised when I read it. I was like, man, I can be quite insightful sometimes, but it made me feel really good what I wrote. I completely forgot the content. And recording and sharing your work with yourself is along those same lines. Keep a log of it, go back to it. So I guess what I'm saying is, so before you go looking at the technology you can use to share your work, think about how you can put a little more effort into recognising, gathering and sharing a wider range of experiences that make you who you are in your role. So important. So what will you share? Well, for some people, blowing your own trumpet doesn't come naturally. And believe it or not, I was once one of these people. Saying, oh, I'm great, and here's why, and then listing a whole load of things that you've achieved isn't actually saying much. Often the evidence of your work isn't in the end result, it's more about the journey that got you there. And if you're not sure where to start with talking about your work or your achievements, you might find the STAR approach quite helpful. Now, you might recognise this as a common approach for answering interview questions, and I wasn't going to put it in for that reason, but actually, it is super helpful when you're writing about a project you've been involved in or an experience you've been involved in, a specific achievement, a case study, storytelling, reflective pieces, those kinds of things. I have found it makes writing a lot easier. It gives me a framework to start from, transforms your narrative into something objective. You're talking through what actually happened rather than just listing superficial reasons for why you're fantastic. We already know you're fantastic, but tell us why you're fantastic. Give us a bit more detail. Okay, so that's what makes the STAR approach effective. It encourages you to talk through the process of your work, and that will reveal so much more about your skills. So let's look at the STAR approach. So the S stands for situation. Why were you carrying out this piece of work? Give us some background. What was the problem or what needed to be addressed? What was the lesson that was getting learned? That kind of thing. T is for task. So what were your plans to address the situation? Talk through how you made decisions and how to tackle the situation. Give us some background into what was getting planned to do, what was going to be the actions. A is for action. So talk through how it actually happened. How did you implement the plans? What did you do? How did you work with others? All those types of things. So who was all involved? What kind of collaborations? And then the result. What happened because of the action you took? If it was a success, how do you know? If it didn't go as planned, what were the lessons learned? So this can work really, really well in giving you structure if you're just not sure where to start. And I am one of those people, I'm absolutely awful at, somebody says, well, write down about that experience. The The STAR approach has actually been super helpful to me for that. So I encourage you to have a go at it because it's really, really good. Okay. Right, so let's move on to how I can share my work. Obviously, there's lots of ways to share your work, but I have made a top 5, and rather annoyingly, I've tagged a 6th, 7th, and 8th onto the end as bonus options. But stick with me. I'll only go through them if we've got the time to, and they're all part of the handout that I'm going to give to you at the end, okay? So let's move on with the first one, which is infographics. So an infographic is a visual representation of information and data. It's an overview of key facts, and they're often delivered as an image or a PDF format. So the one you're looking at here is a TEL team top 5 guides that we've created. So this is actually how we shared our work. We made 5 guides, they were quite popular. So we made this infographic to share our work and say, here are 5 really good guides to help you with creating learning. And the names of each are actually hyperlinks. So this was originally a PDF. And what you could do is you could see the top 5 quickly, but you could click on the name and you would access that guide. So why is that impactful? Well, it's visually appealing. It gets to the reader to the point straight away. You can see what we're trying to say immediately. And then you've got a link to get more information in each. Okay, and you can see that we've actually got a link as well at the bottom for more support here as well. So it gets to the point, really visually impactful, and the detail, if people want it, are in those links at the back. Okay, now the pros for this is that they are visually appealing, they simplify and summarize complex information. You can link to more information without bombarding the reader. So it encourages you to use less text, and it's quite easily shared as well. A PDF or an image is quite easy to share, and it's a really good branding strategy. When we were in our first year, the TEL team used infographics all the time to show people what we had, what work we were doing, and they started to get to know our logos and things like that as well. I've got another one here as well that might be useful if you're sharing a success. Now, this was a survey that we did about technology enhanced learning skills within NHS Education for Scotland. So what you can see is that we've put the main statistics of what people were saying about their skills with technology enhanced learning. So it's the main points, dink, 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 7 main statistics that we wanted to show people. And then if people wanted to, at the very bottom, they could access the full survey for that detail. So they could, with the infographic, they could immediately get the main information. Oh, that's great, well done. But if they wanted to know a little bit more about it, they could access the full report at the bottom there. So you can see how that would bring the reader immediately to the point. Now, the cons of these are, because of course there are cons, is that there's accessibility issues. For links to work, it needs to be PDF. So sometimes, especially these have been made on Canva, which is a free software that you can use. And anybody in the handout I'm going to give you, there's a link there to get to Canva. It's free. You can do this on Canva for free. The reading order, Canva's it's not very accessible. So it doesn't read the PDF from top to bottom. There's a lot of work needs to be able to do that by default. So accessibility can be a wee bit of an issue. And obviously, if you make it into an image, then you're making the text into image, which means a screen reader can't read it. So it does have some accessibility issues. The software that you can use, as I say, is Canva. You can we use that a lot, and it's a lovely piece of kit. Everybody's got access to it. And actually, as a public body, you can get access to their pro account. They've got a AI bot answering these, and sometimes it declines results, but you can appeal and try and get a pro account. Because we're not for profit, we can get a pro account, which we have as well, and that was free. You can also make infographics out of from PowerPoint, and again, we've given you links. Number 2 is interactive document. Now, the most traditional interactive documents is PDF, and PDF has reduced in popularity recently, and you can But the thing is that you can provide or produce a very professional interactive PDF, but the accessibility guidance has unearthed some issues with it. So we're going to focus on SWAY because in the NHS we have access to SWAY, or most of us do. Apologies to anybody that doesn't, because it's very definition of interactive and accessible. Now, what is it? It's a web page document, and that's the preferred document type for accessibility in the accessibility guidance. As an example, I'm going to show you the handout that I'm going to give you. While I created it for you, I can also use it as a means to share my team's work. We made most of the resources in here. They work quite well for portfolios, newsletters, reports, presentations, and this way also has a blog style template too. So let's have a wee look, and we're going to have a wee look at what I'm going to share with you later. Of course, it's on my other screen. Goodness. So this is a SWAY, an interactive document. Now, what a lot of people don't realise is that there's a navigation menu down here, because everybody thinks, oh God, you've got to scroll all the way through it to get to get to the bottom or to get to the point. Actually, there's a navigation menu here, and you can see that it has sections. So if I want to go to slide deck presentation, for example, it takes me straight there to the bottom, to halfway down the screen. So it's just to let you know that it actually does have that. You don't have to scroll all the way down. Now, what's great about this is it has an accessibility view. And also, if people don't like it online, they are able to export it to Word or PDF. So it gives the reader choice. And that's what makes it accessible, is that there's choice there in how they want to interact with this. So I just want to show you some of the things that I've got on here, and that you'll obviously get this later. I think actually somebody's just put a link into the chat. Is it'll give you all the details. So there's infographics. I've managed to put an infographic in this way for you. There's the guide to creating infographics there. So you can just click into there and you'll get access to our full guidance. And it doesn't matter where you are, anyone that can get into this link will get access to all of the stuff in here. Blogging we've got, and you can see here, this is an introduction to blogging, which I'm going to come on to soon. And you can see that that's another SWAY that's integrated into it, and you can actually read that here. You don't have to get taken away anywhere else. Just realised these are in the wrong order. And I just wanted to show you as well, just as we go down to the bottom, you can see also that I've embedded a video in with all the play controls, which is fantastic. Got the transcript and another SWAY right here. And also you can embed things like audio files, which I've done here. And we've got some interaction here with flashcards. So it's really nice. Looks nice and professional. And I've also put in a forms, an evaluation sheet that you can fill in here, and they don't have to go anywhere else to fill that in for you. So it's easier for them to access, which is really, really great. And SWAY gets a bad name, but actually I think we can all agree that it does look quite professional. It looks quite good if you know how to use it. So it's impactful because it is professional, it's quite slick, it's interactive, and the pros of it is that there's not sharing any big files. When you share this, you share a link to a web page basically, so there's no big heavy files going through emails and things like that. It's very accessible to the reader. It can embed other media into it, so you can have audio files talking through a story, videos, you can embed Word documents, PDF documents to it as well. You can change it if there's been any mistakes without interrupting the link. So obviously if you publish something in Word and there's a mistake in it, you have to republish the document. You don't have to do that with SWAY. All you have to do is go in and make the amendments, and the link doesn't get altered, so you can change it in real time, which is brilliant. It is only single ownership, which means it's not a team that owns it, but you can share edit links so that other people can edit it for you as well. So it's not just you that has to do anything. Okay. It's not terribly flexible, I'll guarantee. Some people hate it because it's difficult to use, but for the reader, it's amazing. So if your priority is the reader, then it's amazing for them. you can get trained on how to use Sway, but I have to concede it is quite inflexible, but most issues have workaround. It's not terribly intuitive to use at first, but you do get used to it. When somebody shows you actually how to use it properly, it actually becomes quite helpful. And it's a really good piece of kit. So Sway is an app within the NHS Microsoft package. Some health boards have restricted their staff's access to Sway, but that only pertains to creating them. Absolutely anyone can read them because it's a simple link. So, and even outside the NHS tenancy, that's one of the huge pros about it, is anyone can read it. Outside a NES, people that don't have Sway, it's just a link. Okay, you can set that access absolutely anyone, and all of our guides are here. So, what do you think? Do you think this is something that you might investigate? So the next one is number 3, which is professional portfolio on Turas. Now, anybody in healthcare, health and social care, can access professional portfolio on Turas. It's basically a digital space on Turas to create and upload evidence of your work. You can then select specific pieces of evidence to create a bespoke share pack that can be sent to anyone for viewing. And the reason that's impactful is that it provides you with one space to collect all evidence, and share packs can be catered to your intended audience. So you don't have to wade through lots of irrelevant evidence. And it just, when you start building the portfolio, you can just see how much work you're doing. So I'm going to take you in and show you one of mine. So this is just signing into Turas Learn. And there's guidance on how to do all of this in the handout. I'm just going to go to My Turas, and I have professional portfolio here. So when you're in My Portfolio, professional portfolio, you can create new evidence forms for learning feedback and reflections, and you can upload documents. Now, it can upload Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and images. At the moment, it doesn't accept hyperlinks or videos, but perhaps that might be that Turas has been refreshed, and I'm wondering if that might be part of it. The workaround is that you put the link to videos or hyperlinks or anything like that onto Word documents, and then you can upload it. Now, to show you what a share pack, and this down here, to create a share pack will take you to a section where you pick the pieces of evidence you want and you send it to a person as a share pack. And I'm going to show you what a share pack looks like, because I made one up to show you. So this is one that I've done here. Let's just view that. And as I say, don't worry about what I'm doing here. I'm just showing you there is step-by-step guides in the learning handout. So view your share pack, and this is what people will see. So you'll have a little bio here and some information, and then each of these blue banners are a piece of evidence. The person would open it up. They'll get a little description, whatever description you've put in of that evidence, and then there's a link to the actual evidence itself. And you can see that it does that all the way through. Okay, so it's just another option for you if you wanted somewhere to collect your evidence. It's free, you can get access to Turas, and it's there for you whenever you like. Okay. So the pros are, it is good that you can cater that portfolio to your audience. Cons, it does have limitations, as I say, because it doesn't take up video and sways yet, but put those links into a Word document and uploading that. It does create an extra step, but to access the evidence, but it is a workaround if you wanted to. Now, the software is straight on Turas Learn and My Turas, and any of you can sign up to that account to make a professional portfolio. Number 4, let's look at number 4. So we're going to look at blogging. And what blogging is a web page that is added to at regular intervals. That's essentially what it is. So it's a good option for more informal, conversational approaches, and it lends itself to being more emotive and personalised in other formats. Why is it impactful? Well, blogging kind of lends itself to storytelling, and we all love a story and we all love lived experience, and blogs can be really emotive. The pros of it is that we have a great way to improve writing skills. They're good for sharing experiences, documenting journeys in real time, reflecting on activities. There's comment sections and blogs within them to allow for a generation of discussion and feedback, and they're a good space for helping you to gather your thoughts and learning. So amazing journaling opportunity. And the one big regret I have is my role is temporary, and I really wish I'd started blogging at the beginning of it and updating every week about my progression in this role, because it would have been an amazing read for me as well as anybody else. It was just that this role has evolved so quickly and so much that it would have been really good for me to have that journaled, in regular intervals, and I'm mad at myself for not doing it. If you're working through something if you're working through something and you're being mentored or coached, this is a good way to chunk bigger pieces of work into digestible chunks, that update weekly or monthly about your work. So I've got a link here for AHP Scott blog, which is the Allied Health Professionals blogging site, which you've got a link to in the handout that we'll give you. And there's lots and lots of amazing examples of blogs in here. And you can go and have a wee look at that. It's a really good way to do it. NHS seems to use WordPress quite a lot. So I'm sorry, that just disappeared there. There we are. We use WordPress a lot. We don't have anything official. It's free. Anybody can start a blog on WordPress. And it's a fantastic way to journal something that's taken over a long time, and something that other people might be able to use as well. They might be able to go back if they're learning alongside you, or it's just a lovely reflective piece, a way to share your work that can be a wee bit more personal, and I quite like that. Let's move on to an oldie but a goodie. Slide decks, or PowerPoint as you might know it, gets a bit of a hard time as tech progresses, but I think it's a little unfair. A lot of people say, oh, death by PowerPoint, this is, you know, old hat, it's overused, it's out of date. But actually the problem with most slide decks isn't the software, it's the design of the content that's generally the problem. And the visual that you're looking at right now is quite relevant. So it's basically slide decks or presentation software. Our most used one is PowerPoint, but you can also get them in Canva. Sway does a PowerPoint for you, and some whiteboard software can be used for presentation software as well. But our most common one is PowerPoint. Why is it impactful? The reason it's always been impactful, it's highly visual. We learn better when spoken word is accompanied by a visual. And that was the whole point of slide decks at the beginning. It wasn't, one of the main cons of it is speakers allow the slide deck to do their job for them. And then your audience values the slide deck more than you. And that's wrong. You are the star of the show. That's my avatar there, being the star of the show. It shouldn't be the slide deck that's the star of the show. The slide deck is there to enhance what you're saying. So speaking every single word that's on a slide deck, or not having a visual that could actually bring to life what you're saying. Those are kind of the main cons, and people are a wee bit too reliant on their slide deck to get them through a presentation. And it shouldn't do that. It should be there to make you look good, not to do the job for you. It is prone to poor design. The other thing is if you've got videos and things in it, which it can host, it can hold videos and audio files and images, it can be quite a heavy, large file to share. So that makes it a wee bit of a con as well. Okay, you can do some good things with PowerPoint if you're wanting to share pieces of work. I don't know if you know, but you can actually add an audio file onto each slide, so you can send this to somebody and they can watch it in their own time. So the slide that you have up, there's a little play function and they can hear your voice talking through that slide. So it's pretty good. We've given you some guidance on how to use that, and or how to make a good PowerPoint. So hopefully you'll like that when you see it. Somebody said death by PowerPoint in the chat here. Yeah, okay. I understand that. We are, especially in an online world, I'm using a slide deck. But I think the death by PowerPoint thing is the way people use PowerPoint rather than PowerPoint itself. That's my top 5. And my bonus methods, I've put them in as bonus methods because you might not have access to the software for these things, or you might not have the skill, or you might not feel that you're confident enough or the skill to have the skill set to do it. But I'll just talk through it a little bit just now because I've got a little bit of time, which is great. So video is super high visual. It's a lovely way to storytell, or put in lived experience through learning. And what we've done is we've done a what we do video. This is us sharing our work by promoting our services. So I'm going to play it and let you hear it. Hopefully you will hear it.
We are the Technology Enhanced Learning Team, or TEL team for short. You may have heard of us, but do you know what we do? Let us tell you about our role and how we can help you. Our aim is to empower our NES colleagues to develop and sustain their skills and confidence to design, deliver, and support education using digital tools. We work collaboratively with our colleagues and role model good practice to support a consistent, evidence informed NES approach to technology enhanced learning. So, how can we help you? Let us help you get your project off the ground. We offer project planning advice and we will work with you to explore solutions for creating or transforming learning resources. We also have lots of guides and resources to help support you in the design and delivery of inclusive and impactful digital learning. Learn and practice with us to use a range of software for development of resources such as videos, images, podcasts, interactive documents, social learning forums, and much more. We can support you to build your confidence and skills using Teams for meetings and online learning. We can show you how to increase activity in meetings and online sessions with interactive tools such as whiteboards, polls, and breakout rooms. Collaborate with us to streamline your team processes and improve productivity. Join our TEL knowledge sharing network and access a range of discussion forums to learn with peers and keep up to date with all things TEL.
Okay, so I think you get the idea. So we were using video to say this is what we do. We were sharing our work, and the idea is that we would have the video sitting on our what will be our hub, and then some case studies underneath that show how we did some of these things. So we actually found that quite helpful. But obviously, there's a certain the cons of this is it does require time, specific skill and software. We set the pace of how you learn in this. And people will lose interest if the video is too long, and it's not terribly interactive either, but it can be good as part of something that you're sharing if you want to tell a story, and it's best to use this kind of storytelling point of view because it is really impactful. It can be emotive, highly visual, and kind of simplify quite complex information. Okay. It's the sorry, I beg your pardon. The animation software that we use in NES is Vyond. It's in the example of it is in the handout that I'm going to give you. I don't know if anybody in NHS has access to that, but that's what I mean. This is why it's in the bonus section because not everybody might have an access to video. Oh, okay. The 7th one is podcast, and again, yes, you do need specific software for this. But a podcast is a digital audio file of spoken word and it focuses on a particular topic or theme. The podcast name originates from one of its most appealing features, which is portability. Now, what you're looking at here is the NHS Education for Scotland's podcast site, which has just been live for about 2 months now. So we've got lots of people working on lots of content for podcasts. And it's impactful because it's a great way to connect with far-reaching audiences and can provide a sense of community for people with shared interests. So podcast hosting websites and apps offer flexibility to listen online or download onto their own device so they can listen whenever they like. Okay, so it's really, really good. And it's great for community. It's great for breaking down complex things. We find the human voice more emotive than, say, reading something. So if you need to get something across to change attitudes, human voice is much better at doing that than written word. And because it's audio only, it won't overload the person's thinking processes. They're not having to think about visuals and they're not having to think about visuals and what's been said and things like that. They can just listen and lose themselves in that. Cons, obvious cons for people with hearing impairment, and there's not really an opportunity for interaction, although you can comment on podcasts, but you need to think about what you're actually sharing, because if a visual is very much needed, then podcasts are not going to work. So have a look at your own local arrangements. Do you have a podcast site that you can use? If not, it might not be an option for you, but it's just to let you know that it is a possibility in the future if something like this comes up. And my last bonus method is online whiteboards. So it's basically a blank canvas for you to work on, and depending on the board, you can add files, links, text, images, and create a story or journey with them. So this is a version, this is the MS Whiteboard. MS Whiteboard can be a wee bit temperamental, but they've added some good features in recently. And it's a good creative space for collaboration. You can get flexible access to it. It's easy to share. Host multimedia. You can put videos on MS Forms. This one here is a link, and you can see somebody has liked a comment here. So it's nice and easy for that collaborative visual space. Now, I have one as well in Padlet. I was going to show you Jamboard, but Jamboard's been in Google. That's been discontinued in 2024, just to let you know if you use Jamboard. This one here that I want to show you is Padlet, and you can get access to Padlet for free. I made this on a free piece of software. Amazing. It's a wee bit more formalised than most whiteboards. So what you do is you put a post in. So what I've done here is I've put a planning for digital learning, plan for the who, why, what, how. And then I've got lots of different things. I've got images in there, I've got sways, I've got Word documents, videos. It takes a whole host of multimedia. If you can't be bothered going down all these columns, there's a play, and it turns itself into a presentation. How amazing is that? So the person watching it gets it. Do they want to view it as a whiteboard, or do they want to use it as a presentation? And in the presentation, that was a link. I just put a link in there and it made that for me. This is a Word document that I put in, and I can actually read the Word document in the presentation. It is just superb, and anyone can get access to Padlet. There's about 3, there we go. So you can read that as you go along. I've got a sway in here, and I can read that. I don't have to go into sway, I can just read it there. And there was a video as well, just to show you here too. And all I did was put links in. The software did all this for me. Free version, we think it's actually 5 Padlets you're allowed, but the literature still says 3. This level of access is free. I haven't paid for this. So you're getting this for free. Absolutely amazing. And look, there's some comments on it, and we can rate little posts and things. It's a wonderful whiteboard. It used to be only 3. We think you can now get 5. We were testing it last week, and the literature says 3, but we think you can now get 5, or we could anyway. So it's just that the official party line is 3. Is 3, sorry, beg your pardon. Okay, so that's online whiteboards. So that's my 3 bonus. So let's have a look. So a summary. So what have we went through today? It is more of a planner with buckets, but it is technically a whiteboard as well. I actually meant to show you actually. It does look more like a planner there, but actually if you go into, I made one here of the same types of things, and you can actually make it like this as well. So there's different, in Planner, there's different options for you. As I say, it is a bit more structured, but you can actually do it more like a whiteboard if you want to. Okay, so it's just somebody in the chat saying it looks more like a planner. And you're right, that particular one does, but you can make it into more of a whiteboard situation as well, like this too. There's lots of options for you in Padlet. Strongly advise go and have a look at it because it's absolutely fantastic what they give you for free. So to summarise what we have covered infographics for sharing your work, interactive documents like Sway, Turas Professional Portfolio, blogging, slide decks, and our bonus methods, video, podcast, and whiteboards. Take the challenge. Identify a piece of work you've carried out, choose a method of sharing your work and tell your story and share it with someone, even if it's yourself. So this, if your heart desires, you can scan this QR code with your phone to get the Sway handout.
Hi Vicky, thank you. That was such an insightful presentation. I think we can probably wrap up the session for today. Thank you so much.